Hello everyone, how you going? And welcome back to Mildly Interesting, the place that just helps us recover from all of the other bad subs out there. You know, it just really just makes you go, huh, I guess that is interesting. Nothing too offensive, nothing too just outlandish, but just goes, yeah, that is definitely interesting. And like I says, you know, mildly interesting, stuff that interests you mildly is in the name. So anyway, let's jump straight into it, shall we? So then starting right off with, the sun on my window made a rainbow that split in half by my chair leg. Oh, well, I don't really know if this is actually officially being called split in half, because when I actually think about splitting a rainbow in half, I mean, I don't really know how that would work, but I actually think of it somehow using a prism to kind of split it up more in the same way that it was obviously done in the first place. But to say that the rainbow actually got split by the chair leg, I feel as though is entirely kind of just a little bit wrong. I mean, I guess I don't really know how else to describe it, and yes, you do have both ends of the visible spectrum, but really it's more of a shadow than kind of being split, I feel. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, it is always just amazingly cool and kind of impressive that the light can be that powerful just coming from the glass. I mean, obviously it's coming from the sun originally, but still, you think of the amount of area that is actually capturing the light and splitting it up, it really isn't much. And so when it is that vibrant, it really just shows you how kind of magnified the entire spectrum really is. And I guess in saying that, I've certainly seen a similar thing to this before, and really I kind of feel as though it's more bright than that. I mean, of course it just might be the exposure and everything like that, but when I actually took my photo with a video or whatever I actually did, it was just incredibly bright. But in saying that, that just makes me think about the fact that this could be so easily just kind of manufactured. You know, you see the little bit of a rainbow on the floor and you just kind of place your chair leg there. There is no two ways about it. That could certainly just be very easily done. I mean, I'm certainly not saying that this person did that, but really I feel as though I could even recreate this just with my own chair. As long as you're just kind of there in the moment for the right time, you kind of think of it, then it really is quite an easy thing to recreate. I guess you also have to have something that actually acts as a prism, but if you have all those things, then you should probably be able to do it. But hey, what am I talking about? This subreddit certainly doesn't have to be original, it just has to be mildly interesting, and really every single time you see anything like this, it is definitely mildly interesting. Just the way that light, you know, it's just something that we just take for granted so much, but it is just so incredible and so incredibly detailed. The fact that we can split white light into an incredibly vibrant and really just obviously colorful rainbow is quite impressive, and honestly, it is not even mildly interesting or mildly cool, just interesting and cool. My uncle found a bag of volcano ash from Mount St. Helens with a note tucked in the back for one of his cupboards. Wow, that is such a random thing, but also such an incredible thing. The fact that that person just kind of left it there just for the next person to discover is kind of cool. The fact that they also just been stripping it to friends and things like that and just using it, just trying to discover all of its other uses, it's honestly quite incredible and really just very, very mildly interesting. I mean, also, at least with having the note there, you certainly know what kind of ash it is, because if I kind of just found ash in the back of my cupboard, I certainly would be quite confused, or well, just a little bit creeped out if nothing else. But then when you actually get to pull the note out and just read what it is, and then really what it is used for, and which is where it came from, you know, May 18th, 1980, you know, that thing has probably been sitting there for, well, at least 40 years or so, or maybe not 40 years, but really, it would have been there for quite a while if it's just been sitting in the back of the cupboard and someone left it there on purpose. I mean, I guess you could kind of do a rough estimation about how old it's going to be at the minimum, because that certainly looks as though it's been typed on a typewriter and certainly not printed by a computer. And so regardless of the fact that it was originally packaged up in 1980, or I guess maybe it wasn't packaged up in 1980, which just actually erupted on 1980, but it would have been sometime around then. I can only imagine if it was just kind of hanging out at that time. But even if we were to say that it was collected 5 years after it erupted, then really you can still say that this dust is 36 years old in terms of it being in the bag. So it has certainly just been sitting there watching the world change around it for 36 years. That is insane. But no, I always find these kind of time capsules just so cool. The fact that someone has a forethought and just kind of even just, I don't know, the presence of mind just to think, hang on a second, I might just kind of leave a little bag for someone to find in the future. You know, I'll obviously have to type it up what it is, just so they don't freak out thinking that I left my husband's ashes in the back of the cupboard. And so in saying that, even though it would be awesome to kind of open up and see what it's like, really, I just want to kind of leave it in its original condition or just kind of pass it on for generations, so to say. I mean, I guess if you did open it up, then you may be able to try and add to the excellent uses of this stuff, because really, obviously, you know, polishing coins, shining dentures, and shipping to friends is only 3 things, but really, 40 years later, I can only imagine that you could add a whole bundle more things of what volcano ash just would be good for. So look, what can I say besides what I've already said? This is just an awesome little thing that someone has thought about, and really, I just hope that I find my own kind of time capsule. You know, I don't even care what's in it. Even if it was just a little bag of ash, I'll just certainly take that, and really, if I don't find one, then I reckon I'm just going to do one of my own, because, well, I just think it's cool. Found a Stargate in the middle of nowhere near Linz, Austria. Well then, that is certainly quite something that you've just stumbled across. My goodness, in fact, look at the size of the thing. You know, even the fact that they haven't just slammed a disc in the ground, they actually built up an entire rock structure as a base and everything. Like, man, someone has actually gone to a whole lot of effort to kind of create that thing, and the fact that, like I said, is in the middle of nowhere. I mean, perhaps someone just had a month to spend and they went, stuff it, I'm a little bit of a Star Trek fan and I want to leave my mark on this world. But no, it is pretty awesome, and I'm just wondering how the hell they even went about constructing the thing. Has it all been welded together as individual pieces, and that's what all these lines are about? And in saying that, I can only imagine that it was welded together, but was it welded together on site, just in pieces, and that's how they built it, or was it just kind of craned into the end? I just have so many questions. I mean, I guess that's probably exactly why the person built it in the first place, just so random people like this guy and like us, I mean, we're kind of living vicariously, but just so random people that stumble across it just go, huh? What? How? When? Why? And they just don't understand or anything about it besides that it's a Stargate. And that's just got me wondering where the hell this place even is. Like, how remote are we talking? Okay, so let me just have a little look. Okay, yeah, we got this. Wow, that is looking very, very green. Okay, so we need to zoom out. All right, so we're zooming back in now. We can kind of see. I'm obviously not imagining that it's going to just show up on the map, but really, I'm just wondering where the hell it is, because really, it just just the fact that this place is just kind of, wow, it's actually quite built up, and that's very, very industrial in that area. But where the hell, I wonder where the hell it is in this entire area right here. And also, it just makes me wonder how many just kind of undiscovered things are just planted all over the world. You know, obviously things like this, just a random Stargate, or I don't know, ages where we had those just random kind of pillars that were emerging all over the world. So I wonder how many things have just been built because someone wants to build them, they just had a little bit of time spare. And I guess if nothing else, like I said, just want to confuse people coming by. But really, it's quite an incredible structure that this person has built, and even just the fact that they've used such massive stones. You know, obviously there's some little ones in there, but the ones down here are just insane. Like, they would have had some serious equipment to kind of build this entire thing, and the fact that kind of no one knows about it, or at least this guy doesn't know about it, and also the fact that it is apparently in the middle of nowhere, really, it is definitely mildly interesting. There's not too many other ways to describe it because it is so random, but also so cool and just so, well, unique in a way. Found my old cell phone with an optional clip-on chatbot for easy texting. Oh, that is absolutely incredible. The fact that it has a full attachment. Oh, look at this. Even the fact that it has www immediately an attachment, email, SMS. Like, this thing was an absolute bomb. I have absolutely no idea how much this thing would have cost, but surely with its optional kind of add-on extra with a chatbot, it just would have cost, well, probably more than a phone nowadays, and that's saying something. But no, just look at that mobile phone. That thing is incredible. Look at the size of it. I mean, it's saying that based on the trend that we've got at the moment about phones just getting bigger and bigger, we're probably going to have a phone that's just that big. Or to be honest, we probably have already surpassed it, considering the fact that we've already got, I don't know, things like the Samsung Galaxy Fold and just these massive phones, if you could even call them that anymore. But no, just look at this absolute unit. I can only imagine that it would have been at least an inch thick, and really insane that it just kind of reminds me of a two-way radio. I mean, hey, even though it is definitely a big phone, at the same time, it has nothing on the kind of original mobile phones, if you can even call them mobile at this point. You know, they needed a bloody briefcase to be lugged around in, let alone the battery that was also required to even power the thing. My goodness, it was like carrying around a car battery and then another car battery just in terms of the battery in the phone. It was insane. But hey, what can I say? At least things like this definitely show you that there is progression. You know, people always complain about the phones being same year to year and there's no progression, but really, considering the fact that, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago this was considered a mobile phone, and then we have the phones that we have today with torches and cameras and everything and whiz bang and whatnot, then it really does make you think about what the next 15 years have in store for us, even just down to the fact that this is so unergonomical. Like, how the hell do you even hold that thing and type? And oh, I don't even know. I mean, I guess that's probably what they were referring to when they said easy texting in the title, but my goodness, this thing is, well, what can I say? I'm just glad that we've moved to where we are now, and I'm happy for what we actually can get in the future. Had a praying mantis nest hatched by my front door. Whoa, that is absolutely crazy, and also kind of a little bit freaky at the same time. You know, honestly, if you zoomed in a little bit more, it almost looks like a War of the Worlds kind of situation where you just got these massive, well, kind of alien looking creatures just kind of preying on everything. I mean, that is absolutely incredible and definitely mildly interesting. The fact that they all fit in that one little nest, I mean, maybe they kind of burrowed in a bit, but really the fact that they were all kind of going to be squished in there somehow, and you can even see that they're all just climbing over each other right at the entry, or I guess the exit more so. And also, regardless of the fact that it is obviously mildly interesting in terms of them hatching, I feel as though it is also mildly interesting that they are just, well, not really the same color that you would expect them to be. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I think of a praying mantis, I'm just thinking kind of a vibrant green, and so the fact that they are just naturally that color and just so perfectly kind of blending into their surroundings is also just very cool. And what can I say? I certainly didn't expect it to, but really this sub has just turned into an educational sub where you're just kind of learning that mantises and whatnot just actually just kind of hatched by the, well, I don't know, maybe 100 or so. And even though, like I said, if you did zoom in a little bit more, you just kind of got some nice macro shots that it would probably look like War of the Worlds or just some sci-fi movie. At the same time, as freaky as they look, they're so harmless, and really they're just so cute, just kind of going to be hanging out in the corner, just kind of doing their own thing. And so unless you suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and they're just kind of crawling all over you and just suddenly about to smother you with a pillow, really, I think they were quite harmless, and so they can definitely stay there, and hopefully you can just kind of log their entire process for us. You know, that would be definitely mildly interesting to see. Saw this converted classic BMW EV charging at the supermarket today. Oh, that is just cool. The fact that someone has gone to all the effort to actually go through and convert it all, and I don't know, obviously get rid of the motor. I mean, obviously that means you have a bucket load more space, but really I have absolutely no idea how you would go about doing that, you know, from getting rid of the engine to kind of adding in the motors or however many electric motors you want to be putting in there, and really just even just get, where do you get the battery packs from? All 1% of the original car is honestly pretty impressive and nothing else, but definitely mildly interesting that someone even had the thought to do that. And like I said, I just cannot get over the fact that it is in such pristine condition. You know, they didn't have to do any chopping or welding. I mean, I can only imagine if you did look at the bottom, it would probably be a little bit different under there, but really the fact that they managed to squeeze an entire electric car into an old style car that was clearly never designed to be an electric car, you know, this kind of car is pre-computer, let alone electric car kind of days, and so the fact that they've managed to do that and just preserve its beauty at the same time, oh man, that is incredible. And even though I'm 100% sure it would have had a whole bundle of problems and challenges and hurdles to overcome, and definitely would have cost a massive amount of money to do, really, that is almost what I'm most impressed about with some of these posts. The fact that someone just even had the thought to kind of do something like this, it is just cool. You know, they obviously went, hey, I just want an EV, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I love this car, but I really just want to kind of combine the two, and that's what you get when you combine the two. Just an awesome vehicle. Honestly, it just makes me think about, is there a market for doing things like this? You know, some people have some very old nice cars, but I'm sure there will be a whole bundle of people that if they just had multiples, or if that's what they want to do, they would be very willing to kind of convert them into an EV. And even though I certainly wouldn't imagine that it's very cheap to do, really, I just want to know where in the world that this has actually been done so I can actually just kind of figure it out, because it just sounds cool. And also, in saying that, I would just love to meet the person that actually did this to their car, or I guess the driver, because I want to know if it is their original idea, or they kind of just coax into it, or just how did it come about where they went, you know what, I'm going to go and take my old BMW and just convert it into an EV that obviously drives quite well if they're just kind of driving it around as what I imagine would be a semi-daily driver if you're just going to the shops in it. And so, hey, even though this is mildly interesting and it might be against the rules, really, I just think this is just awesome and kind of just one step above mildly interesting in a way. Movie theater tells you if there's a scene near the end of the movie. End credit scenes. Oh, okay, I know, I understand. From the title, I was a little bit confused. I mean, what do you mean if there's a scene near the end of the movie? If it's near the end of the movie, I would certainly hope that there's a scene. Otherwise, I would kind of feel as though that's going to be the end of the movie if there's no longer any scenes. But no, now I get it by reading that. Yeah, obviously, is there no end credit scenes, or is there any end credit scenes? So, okay, here we go. I mean, I must say, even though it's kind of an interesting idea and, well, I guess convenient if nothing else, at the same time, I feel as though it just kind of takes away from the kind of, well, atmosphere of the entire movie scene. You know, you're going to the movies, you're watching the credits and go, oh yes, finally I waited on, just kind of sitting on edge. Is there going to be another one? Is there not? Okay, and it's disappointing when there's not, but at the same time when there is, you're like, yes. You just feel as though you're waiting around, it's all been worth, and all those suckers that left earlier just missing out, and you're the one that actually just get to experience this thing. So I feel as though with a board like this, even though it might be, like I said, convenient, it's just basically spoiling the entire thing. And so even though it is definitely mildly interesting that someone thought that this was going to be a good idea, at the same time I feel as though there was probably a reason that more cinemas don't do this, because, well, I guess for one, the people will generally want to watch the credits if they want to watch the credits, and to be honest, I feel as though if you're the kind of person that waits to see if there's an end credit scene, then really you're probably just going to wait either way, because I might feel as though they're trying to play a trick on me and get me to leave early like those other suckers did. So look, I'm certainly not going to say that it's the wrong thing to do, and at the same time I can always appreciate the little bit of artistry that it's gone into a little bit of a chalkboard like this, but at the same time I just don't know if I really can support this idea, because even though it is mildly interesting and yeah, it might be convenient, like I've said a million times, come on, everyone knows that you don't go around spoiling movies, and really, considering the fact that I would have thought that most movies had them, I mean, probably not if I thought about it, but really this just kind of really does ruin it for me. And come on now, unless you've been busting to go to the toilet for the last 2 hours, then really I feel as though everyone should be able to appreciate an after credit scene, because like I said, it just feels as though you've been included into this kind of secret space that not many people are meant to see, and whether or not it's a teaser for the next film, which I guess in most cases it is, or maybe it might be a little bit more of a behind the scenes look, or just something random like having shawarma, really it doesn't matter, I love them, so for it to be spoiled like this or just on a chalkboard, I just feel as though that's just a crappy design in a way. And so now finally for the top of the one for mildly interesting, we use Hulk hands to move cacti around at my work. Well, what can I say besides what the title already says? That is absolutely perfect, and really it makes total sense. They're just easy, your hands are obviously going to fit in them, really everyone's hands are going to fit in them, because the openings for Hulk hands are just insane, but it also gives you a little bit of dexterity with the pole in there, and also, and of course that is kind of the main thing, it's just a massive chunk of foam that is protecting you from the cactus. Honestly, as dumb as it may look just wearing Hulk hands at work, at the same time it's just ingenious and you look like a total genius. And in saying that, it does make me wonder who was the first person to kind of think of this. Did they just go, stuff it, I'm sick of kind of using rubber gloves, or I don't know how you would have done it, maybe you used a towel before or something like that, but they just went, no, I don't want to do this anymore, and they saw the rubber gloves or the Hulk hand sitting at home and they went, you know what, that is going to be perfect for me, I'm taking them in, and then suddenly it caught on and everyone had a pair, or well, there's just a communal pair maybe. And I was also just thinking, going, how the hell do you even hold on to the cactus? But then I went, hang on a second, I'm sure the cactus just probably just holds itself by digging into the gloves or the Hulk hands, and so really it is a perfect kind of matchup in heaven. I mean, hopefully you don't have any kind of mega cactuses that have longer than, I don't know, 1.5 inches or 50 mil long spikes, because well, it's probably going to go through and kind of start hurting your hands then. But hey, I certainly don't consider myself to be a horticulturist, so does something like that even exist really, besides being out in the desert perhaps? And if nothing else, even if they didn't protect you, really just being the green Hulk hands, you're making the plant feel at home just as though it's surrounded by its friends, you know, it's still got these big green things either side of it as it gets picked up and moved around, so it just makes it happy and makes it healthier and probably just makes it survive longer. Don't quote me on that. Like I said, I'm certainly no horticulturist, so maybe that's a complete lie, but at the same time, who knows, I'm sure it might be scientifically backed if you looked into it a little bit. But no, I can definitely see why this is top of the month for mildly interesting, because it's just everything is so random about it, but also makes so much sense and it's so out of the ordinary. But then, well, I mean, I guess if that's what you're doing at work, that's what you're doing at work. It just is the perfect thing that people might have not have seen before. Really, I can only imagine in this case many people have never seen before, and just makes people go, huh, I guess that is interesting, you know, and it makes perfect sense. And hey, maybe exactly like I said with the praying mantises, this subject turns into an educational subject and you go, hang on a second, this is exactly what I needed in my life. I had absolutely no idea how I was going to go about transferring all my cactuses, but hey, now I know, and I've just got the perfect solution. But anyway, that is going to do it for the top of the month for mildly interesting, so thank you for watching. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to the YouTube algorithm things down below, let me know if you had a favorite post out of any of these. Other than that, we check out awesome posts all over Reddit, so make sure you check some of the other videos out now, or hey, maybe you even just want to consider subscribing so you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.